Good afternoon. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. I know I haven't been live during the daytime in a while. I haven't been here. I've been out and about living life. Today, we will be discussing the Braxton Season 1, Episode 1, since they have changed the name. It's no longer Braxton Family Values. It is now The Braxtons. And it's Season 1, Episode 1, The Braxtons Are Back. And all things in this video are alleged and from my own personal opinions. They are used for entertainment purposes. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get started. So this episode, it did a lot of flashbacks and showed a lot of pictures and videos of Tracy. As everyone knows, Tracy passed away, and my condolences to the family. So it wasn't the same because you could tell there's a missing void because, Tracy was, she was like the comedic relief in the family, so to speak. But you could definitely tell that piece is missing. But the episode starts with, them talking about everything that's transpired. They're talking about her death and how it's hard for them to process it. They haven't been communicating, so they really haven't grieved. But we will see Trina. She's in the kitchen cooking, and her, she married Bun, and he ended up asking her a bunch of questions, and it seemed like she got a little irritated, which she probably did. She sounded really emotional when they got to talking about Tracy, and she was letting him know that her and her family, like the sisters and the mother, were going out to eat that night. She was telling him that, they hadn't sat down and had a real conversation in regards to Tracy's passing. And she felt like they have become estranged because they really haven't talked about the situation because everybody is grieving and dealing with her death in their own way. She also stated that she didn't want to speak negatively about Tracy's husband because, he's grieving, but in his grieving, their son is also grieving because he lost his mother, who was pretty much his best friend. So her husband wasn't exactly as present as he needed to be, or as some would have wanted him to be for his son, which is understandable because, everybody is dealing with grief. So he hasn't been able to fully be there for his son to help his son process his grief because he can't process his own. So, Tony has called the family and asked for them to meet for dinner because she had something that she wanted to tell them, but she hadn't told anybody what it was. So next we will see them going to the restaurant where you have Tony, Trina, Tamar, and Miss Evelyn. And Trina states that she was not paying because every time they go somewhere, she is the one that pays. So, baby, if y'all gonna eat, y'all either paying or y'all going in that kitchen to wash some dishes. Katrina says she ain't paying. But they made the statement of who was gonna pay, and they say that Tawanda gonna have to pay because Tawanda decided she was gonna be late. And since she gonna be late, we gonna make her pay. Tony states that she has been living by coastal and she's nervous about her upcoming performance. She has a performance in Vegas that she's super nervous about because she hasn't performed in 15 months. And she states that she had a health scare that she's afraid to tell her family about because The last health scare they had was with Tracy, and as we know, Tracy did end up passing away. um, she stated that she had a stent put in her heart, but she hadn't told her family about it. And Tamar was talking about she been living on Lemon Pepper Island, and I was confused. I'm like, huh? Is she trying to say that's all she been eating lately? I don't know. I'm confused because I don't know what Tamar got going on because she got me so confused. But maybe that wasn't for me to know. So we're gonna leave that alone. She asks Tony if she's single, and Tony replies that she feels like she is. She states she was engaged, but now she's no longer engaged. But at the same time, she's not married. But then she said she don't have time for a relationship. At the end of the day, you either single or you married. If you're no longer engaged and you didn't get married, that leaves the fact that you're single. It ain't that hard unless you want to say she in a relationship that's complicated, but it's not that hard. You either married or you're not. It ain't no in between, but I digress. Next, we'll see Tawanda walk in. And it's crazy because Tawanda and Trina are literally dressed alike. They claim that they did not plan it. It just happened. And it was like, Tracy would have had a field day with that. So, they laughed and joked about it. And they did, as we saw, a lot of flashbacks with Tracy. And Miss Evelyn starts talking about when Tracy called her and told her that she had cancer and that she was going to beat it. And Miss Evelyn stated that she affirmed to Tracy that she would beat it. Then they start talking about having grief counseling. And, Tony gets really emotional because, when she tells them about the fact that she had surgery on her heart and they told her that she only had, if she had got there any later, she would have had a heart attack and she wouldn't have survived. And how emotional she got because of the fact that she has been the one that's been sick for all this time. She's the one that's been sick. Everybody's known she's been sick. And then out of the blue, they find out Tracy has cancer. So, finding out a person has cancer and then losing that person, it makes you realize how short life really is, because you can be here today, gone tomorrow. Heck, you can be here this moment and gone the next. So losing a person, no matter who they is, and especially if they're somebody that's really close to you, is really painful. That's a pain that I don't wish on anyone. Miss Evelyn states that she feels like Trina needed more extensive counseling than any of them because she was there with Tracy when she took her last breath. They tell us about they all have the little hummingbird necklaces because Tracy loved hummingbirds, and that was their way of carrying a piece of Tracy with them at all times along their journey. And they also show where Tracy had a tattoo on her back with 5 hummingbirds, which symbolize all of the sisters, which is why they all got the hummingbird necklaces so they can have a piece of her with them as they go about their lives. We will see where they asked about Tracy's son, little Kevin, and they stated that he's going through a divorce. Tamar is shocked because she's like, she talks to him all the time, but he hadn't said anything to her about going through a divorce. They ended up changing the subject to find out what was going on with Tony, and she lets them know she had something called a widowmaker. So basically, that's, if you have it, it's gonna kill you. So if you married or whatever, it's gonna make whoever you with a widow. But they caught it before she had a heart attack, and the doctor felt if she had one, she wouldn't be here today. She was told she would eventually need bypass surgery. So, of course, everybody starts crying. Tony is scared that if she does have a heart attack, she won't survive. So, she has a lot of anxiety as it relates to having one because she's worried about her kids, who's going to take care of them if something happens to her, which, life comes into more perspective, especially after you've just lost a sister. Now you're thinking about, what if something happens to me? This is going to happen next. So I understand it causing a lot of stress and anxiety for her. Next, we will see Trina and Tawanda meeting up for a drink. And, Tawanda is talking about everybody had agreed to cut their hair. However, she was the only one that cut her hair. Child, Trina talking about she got a round face like her mama. I'm like, what your face got to do with anything? If you was going to cut your hair, you was going to cut it. You just weren't planning on cutting their hair from the get-go. But it is what it is. Of course, when it was originally done, everybody thought that she did it for Tracy, in solidarity with Tracy. But we ended up finding out that she has alopecia. And according to Trina, she said Tracy was the one that used to rub on Tawanda's hair, and she told her to cut it. So she did. Then they FaceTime little Kevin. And he states, well, they was asking about his hair because he had just gotten his hair done. They asked who did his hair, and he was like, Olivia, which is his wife. But they like shocked because they like, your wife, she did it? Because they're sitting there thinking, why is your wife doing your hair when y'all going through a divorce? What are y'all doing? And he states, that it's confusing because she filed for the divorce. And one moment she wants the divorce, one moment she doesn't. So he doesn't know what they're going to do. They let him know that the family met up and they agreed to grief counseling, and they asked if he wanted to be a part of it. He told them that he had been thinking about grief counseling because during the Christmas holidays, it really hit him that his mom was gone. That we're not gonna lie, that's a hard pill for anybody to swallow. And even more so if you and your mother are extremely close as they were. So I can imagine how hard it was for him. I've been down that road. I've been down that road twice because I've lost my mom and my dad. So I definitely knows that he's gonna need some therapy, and it's gonna take him a while to get over it. It's not gonna change overnight. Definitely not. And then it doesn't help that he's not having his dad to be there for him because his dad is dealing with his own grief. Then you have on top of that his wife filing for a divorce. So that's a lot on him, especially at such a young age. So, he's feeling really down, and they tell him that they are all going to get through this together. Tamar makes the statement of, what all are we trying to accomplish with the therapy? And she's just there for more support because she done been through all kind of therapies. She may have been through all kind of therapies, but Tamar, it ain't helped you, baby. You still need a lot more. You need a lot more therapy. But while they're waiting on the therapist to get there, you have Tony that's getting ready for the she's getting dressed, getting her little makeup and stuff done. It shows where Tawanda calls Tony on her way there, and they're having a conversation, and she's letting them know, she's trying to get physically ready, but emotionally she's not ready. Miss Evelyn and Trina are cooking. It's amazing that the only people in there cooking is Miss Evelyn and Trina. Like, Trina always in the kitchen, ain't nobody helping, but everybody else want to be there to eat. But anyway, so Tamar asks Trina, where did Spirit come from? Because Trina was the one that set up the counseling session. She chose Spirit and she lets them know that she utilized spirit when Gabe died. If you watch the Braxton Family Values, then you would know that Gabe was Trina's ex-husband, and he died. He also died from cancer. So she utilized her when she was dealing with the grief of that. And she said she helped her. So that's the reason that she went back to her, because she was familiar, because she's already used her before in the past. So they were talking about the difference. They were talking about making tea, and Tony talked about she loved tea. So Tamar was like, "Where's your little fancy stuff? Where's the little fancy tea stuff?" Tony's like, "It's somewhere up here," because Tamar is like, Tony don't have paper anything. Only paper stuff that she got in there, according to Tamar, she's the one that brings it, because Tony has expensive shit. But then Tony says she got everything. She just don't know where the hell it is, because she ain't been here. She hasn't been to this house in a minute, so she don't know where anything is. This is great. I guess that's what happened when you live in bi-coastal and you in California more than you in ATL. So you'll know where your stuff is. And then you probably got all the stuff put together just so y'all can start filming. So she probably don't know where anything is. So in the last scene, we will see where Spirit comes. Not well, you hear somebody ringing the doorbell. Tony tells Trina, since you know her, you go open the door. And everybody's running around the house like they're crazy trying to get to the couch. I'm like, oh, y'all grown. Just walk to where y'all trying to go. Where y'all running? Why y'all scared? What's wrong with y'all? They act like they ain't never had therapy before. When this whole family on the Y'all to Fix My Life. Y'all done been through, y'all may not have been through grief counseling, but you've been through some counseling. It ain't got y'all nowhere, but y'all done been through it. But Trina introduces Spirit to everybody. Their dad is on Zoom, and Lil Kevin is also on Zoom. The therapist is, asking, everybody how they feel. They asked Trina about going first. Trina was like, she didn't want to go first because she wasn't ready to tell how she felt. Tony makes the statement that they are all bad communicators, which is obvious because the therapist is sitting there asking everyone how they feel to tell her how they feel. And nobody is saying anything. Everybody's looking at everybody else and nobody is talking. Nobody is opening their mouth saying anything. And that's basically how it ends, with none of them talking. So the therapist made the statement of, she can't help them if they're not willing to talk and communicate, which you can't help a person that's not going to talk to you. They have to know what's going on in your head, how you feeling, how you thinking, to help them help you. So keeping everything bottled up is not helping them help you. But as we will see, as it shows what will be played out in the season, we know they will eventually start talking and crying and screaming and yelling. So this episode is just giving you the backstory of some of the stuff as it relates to as when Tracy died, how they are feeling, because from what I saw, Tony said a lot more about how she felt in green screen versus when they were together. And it may be hard to get those feelings out, but for them to heal and to move forward, they're going to actually have to open up that door and let those emotions out. But, as a people, with the Black people, we tend to like to keep stuff bottled up and don't release it. So they're going to have to be able to move in progress. But this was a bittersweet episode. It was kind of sad for me because of the fact that they did a lot of flashbacks with Tracy. So I hated that part of it, because they're saying that they only came back to honor Tracy because Tracy wanted them to come back to the show. So I hopefully they do this in a positive way And I hope they don't let this tear their family apart. I hope they're able to come together and become closer because they really need each other as a family, as people that's grieving and going through stuff. So they're really going to need each other. They're going to definitely need to be there for their nephew. They need to reach out to her husband because, he's part of the family also. And right now, he's been grieving. He's been grieving alone. So I hope they're all able to work out their differences and to move forward. But anyway, before I get emotional over here, because it put me in mind of when I lost my parents. So we're gonna leave this conversation alone. But that's gonna be it for me for today. I am thinking about reviewing the Kingdom Business, because I like that show. I'm waiting on a new episode, but I want to review the past season because I need some more content on my page. So I think that's what I'm gonna do next. But anyway, y'all, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this episode of the Braxton family values. How you feel that it's gonna move forward. How you feel it's gonna be now that Tracy is not here. Just let me know what you guys think. Outside of that, you all have an amazing, blessed Sunday. And I will talk to you all later. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.